Hello, my fellow YouTubers. It's been a while since I've posted any videos. Just been on holidays. Just came back recently, a few weeks ago. I've been in Europe. It was a great time. Just wanted to post this video and just do a bit of an update regarding this whole situation we've got currently with Bitcoin falling and now rising again. It's nothing unusual. We get that from time to time. So there's no reason to be panicked, but I kind of understand for people who recently joined this whole not industry, this entire space. It could be very scary, especially if you buy on a high. So if you bought your Bitcoin, for example, for like $4,500 US dollars, I mean, so it would be about what, like 58 or something, 100 Australian dollars. And it suddenly started to plunge, you'll be scared. Why wouldn't you? And especially if you don't know much about this space, it's very likely for you to panic sell. But that's not what you should be doing, and it kind of takes time to actually understand this. But let's look at the whole thing and how it unfolded. So we reached all-time high at 5,000 US dollars, so just below the 5,000. It kind of touched it and dropped it. And then 2 weeks ago, we got a news that China is gonna ban all the ICOs. Well, that started to spread some FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And people started selling off, and especially in China. And the NEO had one of the biggest hits because it dropped all the way to 0.0039 of Bitcoin. That's where I actually bought it. But anyway, because NEO is like an Ethereum platform, it's built for ICOs, and a lot of people have panicked and they sold, and the Bitcoin started to go down. A week later, there was another unconfirmed news article that posted something about China banning all the exchanges. So that spread even more panic. Then a few days later, Charlie Lee, who is the creator of the Litecoin, posted a tweet that he's got some very credible source, he's not disclosing who it is, and that this source told him that it is actually true that the China will ban all the exchanges. Well, Charlie Lee is a really good guy. He's very respected in like cryptocurrency community and all that. But I think what he hasn't done the right thing. He tweeted that without revealing who the source is, and he spread all this panic, right? So people started selling, and then about a few days ago, BTC, which is like one of the big Chinese exchanges, they released a statement that they'll be closing down by 30th of September. Then VIA BTC came out as well. That's another Chinese exchange saying that they'll be shutting down. So that actually spread even more FUD, and basically we saw a free fall. So Bitcoin went from like, I don't know, in these 2 weeks, it went from 5,000 all the way to 3,000 US dollars. And that's a lot. That's a fairly big drop. We've seen some similar drops percentage-wise, not in dollar value, but in percentages. Like we saw a very similar drop. So if I look at like 5-year charts or something, we've seen fair few of those. You could see there's one there, then it dropped. There was one there, then it dropped. There was one there, then it dropped. And you can see there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so it's like a fifth, and it's very predictable almost. Like like from the history of Bitcoin, you can see it always goes up, then it drops, but it never drops lower than before it went up. So it always keeps going up. And if you're interested in this pattern, watch Cliff High's YouTube channel. He hasn't posted for a while. I think he's quite busy, and he's got his web bot, which is a little bot he wrote, which actually goes and analyzes the chats and like Slack channels and Google and Facebook it collects all the data and makes prediction based on this linguistics and stuff. And apparently, he's been pretty much 100% accurate with his prediction. And his idea was that this whole pattern is like a crocodile teeth pattern. So you get like almost like a jaw, and each one of those is like a tooth, crocodile tooth, and it just keeps going up. So if you like zoom out, there's nothing to be scared about. Like if you really zoom out, the problem is a lot of people micro trade. So what they do, they go into like Poloniex, for example. Oh, it's one of the examples, or any trading tool. First of all, and another thing they do, they go to CoinMarketCap, for example. They look at these ones and they see, oh shit, it's 10%, oh, it's like 15%, oh, it's 12% up. But the problem is this is 24-hour stats. This doesn't actually tell you much. It kind of tells you, yeah, it grew 12%, but on a bigger scale, it doesn't actually tell you a lot. And they go into some of those charts, and by default, it goes to like, let's say, 2-day or 4-day chart, and they see all these swings, and they get really excited or they panic, depending what it is. But what you need to do is don't micro trade. Go to like higher scales. Go to like 1 month. Well, with OMG I can't do it, but let's go to Bitcoin, for example. Look, if I look at like let's say 2-week chart, it all looks pretty bad. But if I look at like all time, it looks pretty good. We're still quite high, and it's gonna just keep going like this. So I reckon like at least 1 year we'll still have an uprise until we get main adoption on the total burst of the bubble. It doesn't matter. We're nowhere near the top yet, and it will just keep going. So my prediction. So what actually, to go back about this whole China news, what happened? A lot of people started to sell. A lot of Chinese, because obviously if you've got money in the exchange or like bitcoins, you'll have to pull them up out of the exchange. So there's been a lot of like buy order or sell orders. So people started selling, and it's mainly Chinese who were selling. They were just trying to get out of the exchange. They were just panic selling, really. And if you look at Fibonacci retracement, so I just drew Fibonacci from the all-time high to this low, which was back in July 16th. So you can see how it actually all unfolded, and it's almost like a textbook scenario. You got all-time high, then it went to the first Fibonacci level, which is 0.786. It was oscillating there. It was sitting on it. Then it started dropping to the next level, which is 618. It was sitting there for a few days, and then it went like all the way. It fell all the way from like 3,700, almost 3,800, all the way to 3,000. It touched that level. It never crossed it. It kind of just slightly crossed it. And it went all the way up to the next level. Now it's sitting on this around 37, between 3740 and 3800. So I reckon it will sit, if nothing major happens, if there's no bad news again, it'll probably sit on this level for a few days, and it will slowly start grinding up until it reaches this level, which is like 4300. It'll try to break it, and eventually it will break it again. It will go here to the all-time high. So hopefully by the end of September, beginning of October, we'll be testing the 5,000 level again. And once it breaks that level, the next logical level would be the Fibonacci extension level, which is 1.618, which is around $7,000. And this is very consistent with predictions from other people, and Cliff High being one of them. He predicted 6,800 price, which is not too far off from that 7,000 level. So Cliff High he's quite accurate. He can get his dates mixed up, or like he's not like a Nostradamus. He doesn't know what's gonna happen, but he uses his web bot to predict things, and his prediction was 6,800. So and according to this chart, that's quite possible. So if you follow the Fibonacci extension, this is very likely that it will happen. It will touch the $7,000 limit. I guess the other scenario that could happen, that there will be another bad news from China or somewhere else, and that will spread more FUD, and we'll touch the 3,000 level again, and this becomes quite dangerous. If it touches that 3,000 level again and breaks it, there's not much support around this level here, so we could be in a free fall all the way to like $1,800. So when you're kind of analyzing, you gotta play all the scenarios. So hopefully we won't get this, which is something like that. Go down. Hopefully we'll not get. That's very unlikely. The more likely scenario is this and this, and it'll just go straight through that level. And you can, by RSI, you can actually see that it was definitely oversold, which is a good sign, because it looks like it's recovering now. The MACD doesn't actually show a good sign yet, but as soon as those two lines cross and the green signal will go up higher above the orange one, that will be definitely a good signal to buy more. So I'll be just observing this, and I'll be posting any updates on the Facebook group that I've got, so you can actually get it from the link below this video. There will be a link for my Facebook group. But anyway, that's a quick update. There's nothing to be worried about. We should be able to reach that $5,000 price in the next few weeks, probably 3-4 weeks, maybe 1 month, to get back to that level. It could be much faster, who knows. Like, this space is very unpredictable. I don't have a crystal ball. I can only analyze charts, and I'm not even a pro trader, but I kind of understand the technical analysis a little bit, so this is my take on it. Obviously don't trust what I'm saying, do your own research, but basically, yeah, that's what I think will happen to Bitcoin. Regarding China, I don't think it makes sense for them to actually ban Bitcoin or exchanges. They can regulate it. They'll introduce licensing, and the same thing happened in US a while ago, where they shut down all the exchanges. Then Coinbase came out, and Coinbase was not really an exchange. It was more like a bank where you buy or sell Bitcoin from them. You don't trade it with other people, and from then it kind of all unfolded again, and all these exchanges started popping up. So I don't think it makes sense too much for Chinese government to completely ban it. They'll just introduce regulation, so there'll be more bribes, there'll be more money paid to the officials, so they'll start regulating. They would want to see records of all those people who buy and sell on the exchanges, so they kind of already started doing that anyway. So yeah, there's nothing to be really worried about, and in fact it's really good. Like, if you think about it, if Chinese government introduces very good regulations around exchanges, there'll be more investors who'll be willing to enter the space, because a lot of seasoned investors and in traditional stocks, a lot of them don't want to enter this space because it's very speculative and it's very risky. But as soon as you get more and more regulation in this space, which will happen anyway, it will happen all over the world, especially with exchanges, right? So as soon as this happens, there'll be more and more institutional money coming in. There'll be more and more experienced traders coming into this space, and that's going to be just good for the Bitcoin anyway. So yeah, that's my take. And even if they do ban, let's say they do completely ban it in China, they ban Bitcoin, that'll be a huge black market then. Because it's hard to trace all those cryptocurrencies, and it'll just become an underground kind of market where people start trading, and it will actually push the price up anyway as well, because it'll be really hard to get those Bitcoins. So people will be willing to pay much more for it. Anyway, that's my take on this one. If you think I'm talking nonsense, just leave comments. Please don't leave those stupid scammy comments with your links to some dodgy websites. YouTube blocks them anyway, and I mark them as spam, and I'll report you to YouTube. So please don't do that. Please like this video and subscribe, and also subscribe to my Facebook group. We actually post a lot of updates there. Like recently, we've done some signals for different cryptocurrencies like Lisk, Monero, Zcash. Unfortunately, that plunge happened, so that kind of threw that analysis out of the water. Although a lot of coins that we recommended are still doing pretty well. They kind of lost the dollar value, but they haven't lost the Bitcoin value, which is good. So that's what you want. I don't really trade in US dollars unless I look at Bitcoin. So I usually look at Bitcoin price. So when I look at any of the coins, I always in my head I always think in this price. It's not in dollar values, because dollar values are not really relevant in this space. If Bitcoin keeps going up, your dollar value will go up regardless of what whether your coin goes down or up. So that's my take on it. Anyway, subscribe, like this video, and subscribe to the Facebook group. Thank you.